Good morning. It's Saturday, the 16th of November. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim.
And I'm Joanna Nicholson. You're watching Weekend Breakfast. The Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has urged world leaders to foster closer ties amid concerns US President-elect Donald Trump's return to power could spark global trade wars.
Now, Mr. Albanese made the address in Lima, Peru, where leaders from the Asia-Pacific region have gathered for the APEC Economic Leaders Summit. For the latest, we're now joined by the ABC's political lead, David Speirs, who's in Peru for us. David, what's the general atmosphere amongst the leaders as they attend this summit this weekend?
Look, Fauzia, we've been talking a lot since this summit began about the man who's not here, Donald Trump, casting a big shadow over this gathering of world leaders, the first gathering of leaders since the US election outcome. But today, it's actually a leader who is here in Lima, Peru, but didn't show up for any of the summit sessions, and that's China's President Xi Jinping. It's a bit of a mystery why he didn't turn up. He arrived yesterday, did a big port opening, a Chinese-funded port in Peru. That was a big deal. But then when it came to the leaders sitting down for the formal sessions here today, the chair was empty for China's president. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was asked about this at a press conference he held afterwards. And look, he didn't have any answers for us on that.
I don't know. I don't know why he's not there. That's a matter for President Xi.
Very interesting indeed. Now, President Xi is expected to be holding talks with Prime Minister Albanese later in the week. Now, Australia has this delicate task of maintaining a traditional US security relationship while maintaining economic ties with China. So how will Canberra deal with this?
Well, interestingly, tomorrow Xi Jinping is due to meet Joe Biden, the outgoing US president, who is very much present here at APEC and will be at the G20 summit that follows over in Brazil in a few days' time. It's at that summit that there's an expectation Anthony Albanese will meet Xi Jinping, the Chinese president. That hasn't been confirmed or announced yet, but tomorrow's meeting with Joe Biden very much is. That's quite a big deal. They're only their third meeting, of course their last before Joe Biden leaves office. As far as how Australia navigates this, we know that the US is our number one ally and that alliance is getting deeper under the AUKUS plans and so on. Obviously, Donald Trump's arrival throws a bit of a question mark over things like the AUKUS deal and our trade relationship, given the tariffs that he's talking about. But there's confidence that that relationship will only get stronger, one way or another, between the US and Australia. With China, our relationship's improved a lot from when we were in the deep freeze and had all of the trade sanctions imposed by Beijing. They've now largely all been removed. The last to be removed, it's expected by the end of the year, of course, the sanctions on lobster. Look, and the Prime Minister is keen to talk up the fact that we've improved that trading relationship with China. But look, it's never going to be as close, obviously, as our relationship with Washington. The China Daily, state-run media in China, ran an editorial today praising Anthony Albanese as a model for Western leaders, suggesting that his strategic autonomy, in other words, not sticking like glue to the United States and arguing the case for free trade and action on climate change is a really good thing, a model that others should follow. Anthony Albanese, when asked about this today, played it down. He said, there's no shift in my foreign policy position on this. We want to be friends with both, strong ally with the US, strong trading partner with China.
Yeah. Now, are you seeing leaders, urgently shoring up their economic and trade ties ahead of this expected tariff hike by Washington in light of US President-elect Donald Trump's victory?
Yeah, there's a lot of concern about what Donald Trump is promising. Tariffs, sweeping tariffs of up to 20% on all countries, tariffs of 60% on goods from China, and that would have a flow-on impact on the global economy, but particularly Australia, given if China's economy is weaker, demand for Australian resources is weaker, it'll hurt Australia too. So there is concern about this. What are we seeing here at this APEC gathering in Peru? Well, Anthony Albanese, other leaders from be it Singapore, Malaysia, they are all arguing we've got to stick with free trade. As smaller nations, we rely very heavily on free trade, so urging all of the big players to stick with free trade and stick with action on climate change. The Prime Minister points to the environmental and economic benefits of this, hopes to attract more investment to Australia under his Future Made in Australia plan, green tech investment and so on. So trying to find the opportunities that are there in the changes that are expected to come under Donald Trump. But honestly, there is trepidation and uncertainty about exactly what he'll do and how that will impact on trade in particular.